What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Building Code. Zach Witovich here.
And I'm Charlie Burtwhistle.
Charles, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. We have an in-person interview today, so Zach and I are sitting right beside each other.
That's right. If you're checking us out on YouTube, sometimes you know it's a good episode when we're shoulder to shoulder.
Exactly.
Something is up.
That's when we mean business for sure.
What if we just change the format? We just started being like...
Oh, and it's just you and I in here?
We're just like sitting.
I wouldn't like that at all. That'd be a little too much Zach Witovich time for me. But the 30 minutes that we have today is the perfect amount. We have a very exciting guest. TwiLea Fletcher is here in the office. Welcome to the Building Code.
A little spoiler, we met already at the Builderbond event that Charlie was not in attendance.
I was not there, no, but no surprise.
That's how it goes here on the Building Code. I get to do all the customer-facing things, and Charlie...
I read the ad for the Builderbond.
That's right.
So maybe you heard the ad. That's why you decided to show up. And
no.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what
We'll edit that out where she said yes there.
I think I got a direct email.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh,
Special
there you go.
invite.
That's a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're here to talk about that event today, but we can get into other things before we, go too far down there. But we always like to ask our customers a little bit about your background in construction.
Okay.
We have found in our interviews that everybody kind of has a different story, and it's fun to kind of hear it. So let's start there. Like, how did you start in construction?
When I was probably 8 years old.
Really?
But that's only because I was helping my dad build things outside. He had a small construction business. So that kind of gave me a little bit of background, but nothing in terms of professionalism.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, I worked for a Class A railroad for several years. Moved on from there to implement a couple of CRMs with different companies. And then 3.5 years ago, came to Stonebrook for business development and ended up implementing their CRM.
Yeah.
So I had just enough, I guess, background in construction or knowledge of that type of industry that really gave me a big legs up to get CRM implemented.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I feel like that's like such a transferable skill across different industries. Like we talk about that all the time, is like a lot of the same problems like our customers are trying to solve are the same problems that we're trying to solve, and the same problems that someone in the railroad industry is trying to solve.
Right.
So being able to figure out, okay, here's how things should work regardless of what you're trying to do, and here's how we can help make it happen is really cool.
Oh, absolutely. It's taking that real world on hands experience and then being able to transfer it into a CRM and go, this is what I think they need to see. This is the type of information we're trying to pull out. So having that background in construction, in railroading, in logistics just really helped.
Yeah. And then we were talking before we started recording, your office here in Omaha is just kind of right up the street. Could you tell us a little bit more about Stonebrook specifically?
Yeah. So Stonebrook was started in 2003 by a couple of friends, Steve Kunkel and Jason Ranke. Started out as a roofing company there in Lincoln, Nebraska. And about 5 or 6 years later, they expanded that. They bought a metal wall system business. Started going into metal wall systems, siding, expanded that into a masonry division. So now we are Stonebrook Exterior instead of Stonebrook Roofing.
Yeah.
2011, I think, is when we came into Omaha and established a good presence here. A few years later, we went to Denver. We have now Stonebrook Exterior in Denver.
Wow.
And then this past year, we purchased a roofing company in Florida.
There we go.
So we are just slowly making our way around, but finding those nice little niches that fit not only Stonebrook as a company as a whole, but being able to move our expertise to other areas of the country.
That's really interesting.
That is a very, very short
There's a
version
lot
of
we
our
could dive
company.
into.
Yeah, it's not easy to summarize your 20-year history
No,
in a few lips, but that's a really incredible story. Is Ranke a construction company as well? That last name sounds really familiar in Omaha. I could be just like,
I don't know.
They
Zach.
are,
maybe I know a Ranke.
They're local boys from here, or Huron.
Hebron? Oh,
Huron.
cool.
There we go. Yes.
Look at that.
Gosh,
Shout out.
if they listen to me on this one, they'll be like,
huge
I
shout
didn't
out.
know where we're from.
Yeah, Charlie's from O'Neill.
I am from O'Neill,
another
Nebraska.
little smaller town out there in the Great Plains.
Yeah.
I'm from Ainsworth.
There you go.
So
Awesome.
Go Bulldogs.
that's, yep.
There you go. God's
I
country.
just went, I don't know if I told you, I went to O'Neill. I went to the Merritt Reservoir and I drove through Ainsworth and O'Neill.
There you go.
That was
Those
the first
are
time
my
I had ever been
stomping
there.
grounds. Yes.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Highly
God's
recommend.
country. Very beautiful
That's right.
out there.
All those people out there that want to
Oh.
go to the exotic plains of Nebraska. Check out the Merritt Reservoir. Shout out.
Yes. And the Niobrara River, which everybody has been down, but if you go on an off season, just the beauty of it without 4 times as many people is
Right.
just outstanding. I mean, it's so gorgeous up there.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We had a great time.
Good.
So I want to kind of start there with your company and how you guys have evolved, but I am curious, are you implementing your CRM for all those businesses and locations?
Yes. All locations. So we're housed under one little, what would you call it?
Like a parent company?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the only thing I'm not doing is the residential side, the private sector side. I'm strictly on the commercial side of things. So I implemented the CRM for the commercial side.
Got it. That's awesome.
But that is for all locations.
Yeah. So when it comes down to the way you guys are using Buildertrend, is that your primary CRM for today?
For my side of work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for your team?
Yes.
Nah, that's awesome. That's one of those things that, like, when it comes to finding like a construction CRM, there's not a lot out there in the market.
Right.
And so this is not an area of the program that we've talked a lot on Buildertrend as far as, as in the podcast, as far as like using the sales side. So overall, what has been your experience with, using the Buildertrend CRM?
Overall, coming from our CRM when I came on board about 3.5 years ago, and that was an Excel spreadsheet.
Sounds familiar.
So, I mean, basically taking all of those, the general contractors, and getting them into a system where we could see what jobs are we bidding with them, what scopes of work are we bidding with them, how much are we bidding with them, being able to just have that in one spot, and then the bid calendar, being able to transfer those lead opportunities
Right.
into the bid calendar for the estimators. That right there was just the huge, big check off the box right there. As far as being a subcontractor with Buildertrend, to your point, it's not quite geared for subcontractors. I think there's a lot of room for improvement there and a lot of avenues that Buildertrend could go down. But I can see how definitely with a smaller general contractor or your smaller companies that do this type of work, it works great.
Yeah, I feel like we need to have you come, and while you're onboarding all these different companies and how to use it, you should just host a little webinar here at Buildertrend, because we don't talk about it a whole lot, but when used the right way and when implemented the right way with someone with your type of experience, it can be a really, really powerful feature.
Oh, absolutely.
And workflow.
I mean, there's some little things like I wouldn't call them a nuance, but I'm like, ooh, if it could do this. But I also realize that I'm an outlier as a subcontractor, so it's not going to be high on the priority list, but it's still out there. So I think getting more subcontractors involved in the Buildertrend, showing them, hey, this is what it could do for you, would be just a huge step and a huge shift towards getting a lot of those little things fixed that are geared towards subcontractors.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of interesting because I worked with contractors of all types, subcontractors, GCs, and a lot of times it's the person implementing and their creative side to get the most out of kind of what you're using. So no matter what system you're going to run into limitations. And
Right.
so it's like, how do you game plan around those limitations? And like you and I have worked on projects like that where it's like, all
Right.
right, we know we're at the limit. How do we like step around it in order to like make it really work for us? And it's kind of fun because even if for our core users, you always have people who kind of come up with things that I would have never thought of.
Yeah,
to get them in.
absolutely.
It's like kind of fun to see what people are able to do within the.
Or you might just miss something.
Yeah.
I mean, you might go, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
That would work for what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So there's just so many different things that you can use, but sometimes if you just don't have the right direction or the right know with how to go, oh, let's just try this and see if it works. Let's get creative.
Yeah. And
That's my favorite. You just
Yeah.
like, you know what? We're going to try it. Just see how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, what I think is so beneficial in that area is just like talking. Well, like Zach and I are really fortunate that we get to talk to the best people in the industry on the podcast here, but talking to other people in your network and understanding, okay, what are you trying to do? How are you doing it? Oh, I'd never thought of that idea, and started connecting the dots, which is why Buildertrend is really starting to kind of lean into becoming that community and connecting different people. And one great example of that is the Builderbond,
Yes.
which you two were fortunate to attend not that long ago. But for myself and other people listening, could you give us kind of a brief overview of what that event was and kind of what you thought of it?
Yeah. So I honestly just really didn't know, aside from, hey, let's get a bunch of our clientele together. Let's get them in a room. Let's get them talking to each other, meet each other.
Yeah.
To me, that's typically what I expect when I get an invitation that says, hey, we're going to have a big event for our customers. Do you want to come?
Yeah.
But honestly, when you go in and you see all these people, it can be daunting if you're not an extrovert. It can be daunting if you are. But just being able to get out there, and once you introduce yourself and just get over that hump, and honestly, a glass of wine
Right.
or a cocktail helps, but you just start talking to people, and they might have the same fears you have. But the minute you start talking, you're like, okay, so how do you use it? What do you use, Buildertrend for? Or what's your obstacles? Or why aren't you using Buildertrend? Maybe some of them aren't even using it because they might be in a different division
Right.
within their company. So they're like, I don't know, somebody else couldn't go, so here I am. But I think just right there, and then being able to meet some of the staff, even though you may not interact with them all the time or ever again, just knowing, okay, they're here. I can talk to them. I can at least maybe find who I need to speak with within the company.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Zach just came up and started talking to me, or me to him. I don't know, but
Yeah. You
like,
go to
you're the guy you need to talk to.
Yeah. I'm tall, so it's hard for me to hide.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, we make eye contact. Well, and that's a lot of what's really great about it is a lot of it wasn't even about the software at first. It like comes up, but there's a lot of what are you experiencing in your business right now? How is the interest rates affecting you, or like is that slowing down your backlog from COVID? Like, are you able to get around to the contracts that have been sitting there for a while? Which is what's really interesting about the construction industry is they aren't all that connected. They don't. You don't see a lot of like Builder 20s and AHBs. Those all exist, but they aren't prevalent. They aren't. Only like the certain type of builder really finds value in it. So it was really cool to see. Because we had people that were not customers there, customers who are, not, they're subcontractors, they're GCs. Like, were there any like tangible benefits that you got after the event, of people you met or talked with?
I would say yes. So I did meet one of your coworkers. I can't remember her name. Her last name is Henny, but
Taylor Henny.
Taylor Henny. Yes. So
Buildertrend legend.
Yeah.
So her father, I believe it is, owns Mecco Henny, which is a new GC for us that we've been, getting some bid invites with. I'm like, oh, well, there we go. Now I kind of know, or I've met Taylor. Hey, Taylor, how do I, get introduced to Junior, or, let's start building that relationship, or finding out, hey, can Stonebrook provide some of the work that you guys are looking for? Because a lot of times you'll find that even though we might be a subcontractor doing the same scopes of work that Mecco Henny's trying to hire a subcontractor for, it might not be the right fit because it might not be the right size. It might not be the right time. The location may not work out. But at least getting that introduction. So as far as a tangible takeaway from that event, that would be one right there. Just going, okay, now I've met somebody that knows one of the GCs that I'm trying to work with.
So you got to learn.
I just gave a shout out to Mecco Henny, so they better call me.
Free plug.
Yeah, absolutely. Free plug.
I'll make sure that we get the word out.
That's right.
So you got to learn about Buildertrend stuff. You got to network and connect about future jobs and working relationships, and you got an invite on the Building Code podcast.
Yeah, that's
talk about kind of 3 for 3 about
I
the
didn't
Builderbond.
mention that, did I?
Yeah, obviously the biggest benefit there. No, that's so cool to hear. I mean, I think, and huge shout out to some of the people in the booth that are listening right now that were like pushing that event and kind of created it. Like, that was exactly what we were trying to facilitate and hope that people would get out of it. So that's really cool to hear.
Yeah. It was a great event.
Yeah, and I think we have plans to want to do another one in the near future. And internally, that's one of those things that I'm always kind of a fan of is how do I always joke like we could be the railroad to the builders. I think I've said it on the podcast before.
Yeah.
We could like connect them together and give people more opportunities. So if we have our listeners out there that want to reach out, ever want to talk to builders, like at the very least, more than happy to try and connect people because I think it is something that is craved for. And construction is just not that much opportunity for it.
Yes. And there's a thought I want to throw in there, and especially with CRMs. One thing that I've found since I think I started doing this in 2015 is you're never going to find a CRM that fits every single thing you want it to do. That doesn't exist. So you have to be able to find the right people to talk to in that same industry and go, what have you used? What have you used in the past? Or excuse me, what have you used and what are you looking at using? Because a lot of times it's like, well, it works about 85% of what we want it to do. That 85% may be just enough because you're not going to find 100%. I don't have 100% with Buildertrend. I'm not going to have 100% with, I'm not going to plug them, the other 3 that we looked at. But again, you just have to find that right fit for your company, but being able to find your same industry and talk to those people and get that feedback and that one-on-one discussion, that can help so much.
100%. And I think I've observed that builders really trust other builders. And so giving them that opportunity to like actually have that honest conversation. And I had a great example. I was at another Buildertrend event in Austin and had a customer who was not a Buildertrend user. And she was like on the fence. And I was like, you know what? I just want you to go talk to other people here.
Right.
And let them talk to you about their experience. And you come back to me and then we can make a decision about what you want to do. And that was the thing that convinced her. It was people in her peer group, people that she trusted who like build a similar way. And she came back, she was like, she signed a complete annual. Like she went all in just based off that. And all it took was just someone kind of helping her understand like it does a benefit.
Right.
If you're able to commit to it. And like what you get on the other side is totally worth the processes that you're going to go under, even though it's not perfect.
Oh, absolutely. And I think another really good event that happened right after I signed up for like 3-month free trial, I believe it was, or 90 days, you had an event in Denver. And I happened to be going to Denver for work.
Did you come to Buildertrend on the road there too?
I did.
Wow.
And it worked out like perfectly. So I'm like, all right, well, let's get in there and start talking to people. Let's actually see how they're working the system.
Yeah.
And that was a big kicker for me.
Did you meet other subcontractors there?
There were not a lot of subcontractors there. Denver's really full on GCs.
Yeah.
Really heavy on GCs. I think your subs, they are there as well. It's a very high competitive area.
Right.
But I didn't see a lot of the subs that we directly compete with. Now, I wasn't searching them out because it was still, you get there and there is people everywhere.
Yeah, it was a big
so
event.
to like zone in and go, okay, who am I looking for? I was just like, I just want to see how Buildertrend works.
Yeah. And that's honestly, funny enough, we've talked about BTU a lot on the podcast. And, you know, you come into the office even when you were like signing up. But one of the things we get in surveys quite a bit from BTU is, you know, it's great to learn the content. It's great to meet the Buildertrend staff, but it's like low key. The best part about Buildertrend University is getting to talk to other builders outside your region, because there is kind of this fear that someone locally is like kind of your competition. They're going to take business from you.
Yeah, I'm not giving you my secrets.
Yeah. And I think that's starting to change. I'm starting to see that go away. Have you experienced that builders are now opening up even locally more?
I would say yes. I've never really experienced it, but the whole mindset, at least what I have witnessed, is, hey, we may be competing against you, or we may be putting out a bid to 4 or 5 general contractors within Omaha. But the mindset is you can't build everything.
Yeah.
You can't win every job. So if you don't start working together, pretty soon, you know, this person might jump ship and move over here. Well, guess where your secrets are going? So they're already out there. So the more I see GCs helping each other, like if a GC loses a bid and I call them, like, yeah, we didn't win it. If I ask them who won, they're more than willing to say, oh, it's so-and-so. Then I can call them and give that GC my number. But I'm starting to see a lot of them open up more because I think a lot of people are looking at, hey, well, you know what, it might be better on this side of the fence.
Yeah.
But that does happen. So your secrets aren't always safe.
Yeah.
It's better to open up. But if you're within your company, make sure you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're going to get the most benefit.
That's a great point. That's really interesting. I love thinking about the connectivity of the construction industry. You know, GCs are sharing which subs they like to work with.
Yeah.
Subs are talking to other subs about which GCs are paying you on time and are running good schedules and making sure, you know, like all the logistics are taken care of.
Yes.
It's even in my 5 years, I think I said this a few episodes ago. So hopefully it's like my last 5 years when I started at Buildertrend, I feel like the industry has really like taken a step forward.
Oh yeah.
Compared to even my early days. That snowball effect, it's really exciting because it feels like we're really starting to see more and more of that in all these markets more than ever.
Well, yeah, Buildertrend's even starting to like dip their toe into the supplier side as well too. So like, how do we facilitate that relationship? How do we help our builders get better deals and more rebates? How do we help suppliers get more people buying for them and increase their sales and things like that? But the ecosystem as a whole, and hearing you talk, that's not just needed, but like wanted. Like people are craving for that sort of connectivity.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with everything that's gone on the past 3 years since the pandemic. I mean, you've got prices all over the place.
What a whirlwind.
You know, we went from giving proposals saying good for 90 days to good for 30 days to 14 days.
Wow.
That's
I
insane.
mean, because you couldn't predict what was going to happen. Now it's finally, obviously, starting to level out a little bit to where we can hold our proposals and our prices for 60, 90 days if needed. But again, yeah, it just, that whole graph of, we don't know when it's going to change.
Mm-hmm. I know this is a little bit of a unrelated topic, but you mentioned you're mostly on the commercial side.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing any differences from the commercial side of the business from the residential? Do you have any insight on like if residential is going through a slowdown and commercial is being maintained, or
I don't
know?
I don't. I could make up something,
Sure.
but I mean, it's not going to do me any favors.
No worries.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah, it's just the business itself within Stonebrook being divided as it is, where you're just focused in on your specialty. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It really depends. But the minute you start to cross over, then guess what? People are going to start coming to you for things that
Right.
probably don't fall within your wheelhouse. So it's better to go, oh, that's not me. Pivot to this person and just whoosh, throw it to that side of the that side of the court. Because for me to try to stay on top of both sides of that, residential, private, commercial, I wouldn't be sitting right here.
Yeah,
I'd still be back at the office.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
I just kind
I
of
knew
a
what you're
thought.
asking. I think I probably should know that answer from a top level perspective, but
Well, I think that being intentional about your markets and who you're serving, what you're trying to do is so important. We talk to people all the time, but like hearing, I think, an expert like you, especially given the track record that you laid out at the beginning of like how you've been able to scale and like go to the different markets, like that wouldn't happen if you were trying to do everything.
Right.
Like you would still be in Lincoln trying to serve the entire area. It's just as much work, but in a absolute like scatter plot.
you start to get in
of
the
different
weeds
areas.
and you're just like, wait a minute, who am I supposed to see today? You're not concentrating on the GCs, which are my customers.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome to hear, and it's something Buildertrend can probably take a page out of that playbook as well too.
Well, it's kind of tough too, because everybody, if you have good work ethic, you want to help everybody.
Yeah,
you want to
right.
make sure, are we doing what we can for you? You're my customer. You may not be my customer, but I might still be able to help you. Well, then you start getting so bogged down that you really lose sight of, why am I here? My goal is 25 million in business. So if I start doing all of that, I'm not going to make my goal.
Great point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I don't know, this may be a really, really high level question, but like just hearing you talk and like I'm so impressed with just like how intentional you are about learning stuff, reaching out to the right people at the right time. What advice would you give someone listening? I think especially like newer businesses, I feel like this could be really overwhelming because established businesses kind of have their processes ironed out. But the fact that you like, if you lose a bid, you actually call them up and like talk to them, like what advice would you give someone listening to this on like how to learn more about their network, how to learn more from the people that they're working with? Is it just diving in and calling, or how
Are
do
you talking from a perspective of a subcontractor or a subcontractor trying to gain new business from a GC?
Gosh, is it bad if I say both?
No. If you are a new subcontractor and you're trying to get your name out there, bid everything. It may be the smallest, most ridiculous project, but if you're trying to create a name for yourself, bid everything you can. Second of all, make sure you follow up.
Yeah.
A lot of times you may find that you are so out of the ballpark and you didn't even know it. If you don't follow up and find out, wow, my margins are really low, or they're really way too high, because a lot of times if they're too low, the GC might go, what'd they miss?
Right.
Yeah.
So you really want to follow up and get that feedback from a GC that you're bidding with.
And you said that they're open to giving that feedback.
Most of them are.
Yeah.
I can't say all of them. Some of them can be pretty vague. Some of them aren't allowed to. It might be one of their company policies where they're like, we're not allowed to give out numbers. Some of them will be able to give you a spread, like, okay, you were 20 to 30% high.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than nothing. And the other thing is, once you do bid everything, you might find as a new subcontractor a niche that you never knew you had.
Right.
Because there's a lot of different things here in Omaha, Lincoln, surrounding areas where you are short on a certain type of subcontractor within a certain scope of work. So just bid everything that you can that you know your company can do and follow up. And don't expect to win everything, because we don't win everything.
Yeah.
But I do like that feedback when I get it from the GC.
I love that.
That's really cool.
Now, from the other point, from the GC either getting a new sub or I'm bidding and I'm constantly bidding with them, feedback. Any feedback you can give us is great. Or if you can meet with me, coffee, I'll buy you lunch, quick beer, don't care, meet with me. That one-on-one interaction is so great. It helps immensely. 15 minutes, an hour at lunch, don't care.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, I think hopefully Buildertrend will continue to kind of lean in to help facilitate some of these. I know we have Buildertrend universities almost monthly now.
Sometimes twice a month.
Sometimes
Two
twice a month.
times in October.
I actually got a call for that today.
Yeah, see? We're doing
There
a
you
buy
go.
one, get one.
She goes,
this week.
do you want to do this? I'm like, what? And I'm all trying to prep for the podcast. I'm like, no, I'm not interested in what? Classes?
Yeah,
Shoot
classes.
me an email.
I'm talking
I got a
to,
podcast in an hour.
Yeah,
I'm talking to Zach Witovich, the Zach Witovich
Right.
directly.
That's right.
Do you know who you called?
You're always welcome. You just roll up whenever you
Yeah,
want.
honestly,
All right.
that would be sweet if we just had people coming in the office every day.
Yeah, that would be it is an open invitation. If you live locally, like you were more than welcome to come to our office and meet with us. And yeah, I used to do it back in the day. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, I'd say, if you're a current customer and you're listening, reach out to your coach, check out our .com. We'll have events coming up. If you're not a current customer, we're going to continue to do events like Builderbond to not pitch you, not try to sell you, but really just facilitate that connectivity and that network because it helps everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's probably we're just about out of time, but it was great having you on the Building Code today.
This was great. This is
And
great.
Please do stop by anytime, and we'll catch you next time, everybody.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
As always, make sure to like, review, subscribe. I'm Charley Birtwhistle.
I'm Zach Witovich.
We'll see you. Thanks for watching the video. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content brought to you by Buildertrend.